Hi guys, in this video we're going to be talking about the branch lines into Coxton Yard. When I first built the layout, I made a single branch line, staging track, departing the westbound main at Coxton or OX Tower, which goes behind the mountain immediately adjacent to the yard. This staging track represented the Lehigh Valley's Austin branch, which served primarily some collieries in the immediate area and a few other industries. The interesting thing about it is it connected with the DL&W's Sibley branch, and the DL&W used this connection to run trains between Coxton Yard and Boston, actually picking up some merchandise, fast merchandise arriving from Buffalo on the Lehigh Valley, and making arrangements to immediately to take it northeast into New England. So what I originally used it for was just for staging an DL&W interchange train. One of the first lessons I learned from operating sessions was I didn't have enough staging to reflect the various operations at Coxton Yard. So last summer I extended the staging track under the mountain into the attached garage, and we'll take a look at that now. A 5-track staging yard is built on a shelf which extends across the back of my workshop, and it sits just above the workbench. I borrowed this idea from visiting a layout during an NMRA convention in Charleston, West Virginia. During a typical operating session, some of the trains will be pre-staged here, while other ones will arrive from Coxton Yard sometime during the operating session. The turnouts can be operated from the panel here by someone coming out to the workshop, or they can be operated by the dispatcher. The first track is used by the DL&W for their interchange runs. The adjacent track is used by the Delaware and Lackawanna and Western Scranton Kingston turn. It's limited to 10 cars. The next track, which is currently unoccupied, is where the Lehigh Valley's West Pittston branch train will arrive. That's limited to 10 cars. The fourth track over is used by the Lehigh Valley's Austin branch, and usually this is a run for the to the William A. Colliery. It'll be several empty hopper cars powered by, again, one of the Lehigh Valley Coxton Yard engines. And the last track over is used for the Lehigh Valley's West Pittston branch also, but it also served one of the collieries, the Harry E. Colliery, and this will be usually 5 to 6 loaded hopper cars with run-of-mine coal. The trains on the branch are usually controlled by the dispatcher using the route function on the Digitrax system. For the DL&W's KS turn, we would use route 21C. This is done by pressing the switch function and then selecting switch 21C, or route 21, and then C, is located on the bottom of the throttle. We can return to the normal window by hitting the function key. The dispatcher can also monitor the staging yard by using the security type camera and monitor that's installed on the desk. There are two ways for trains originating from the branch line or going to the branch line to enter Coxton or depart Coxton Yard. We'll use the DL&W train in this example, and that is to pull forward onto the westbound main when it's cleared by the tower until it's clear of the turnout. Once clear of the turnout, then it can back down the westbound main. And then it will back up into track 3, the arrival departure track, using the two crossovers on the east end of the yard. The turnout to the branch line is controlled from the Coxton Yard panel, as are the two crossover to route it to track 3. The other option for arriving or departing from the yard is to use the eastbound main in front of OX Tower. We use the Lehigh Valley's West Pittston branch train to demonstrate this. The train's departing from track 6, where it's usually made up at. And it's powered by one of the Coxton Yard engines. It's entering the eastbound main in front of OX Tower. It will cross over to the westbound main at the using the crossover at the top of the hill. That crossover is controlled from the Wilkesboro control panel that we'll be taking a closer look at in a future video. The train will then proceed along the westbound main until it passes OX Tower and takes the branch line. Switch lists are used to make up each of the branch trains that we've discussed that we're looking at. This is for the DL&W's Kingston Scranton turn, which is arriving in the yard, and we noticed that there are two Lehigh Valley empty boxcars that are destined for Coxton. They'll be dropped off here. And a switch list is also made up to help the yardmaster determine what cars the Kingston Scranton turn will be picking up. In this case, it's kind of unique. The C, B, and Q car is actually the Vista Dome car, and there's an empty DL&W box that will be picked up and going to Scranton. The reason for the dome car was these were made by Bud. They were picked up by the Reading and moved to Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, where the Lehigh Valley passenger trains picked them up. And because of the tunnel north of Coxton, dome cars were turned over to the DL&W, which didn't have the same restriction. The Lackawanna's KS turn is handled by a RS3. A typical switch list used for the West Pittston local, which would be used by the Coxton crew to make up the cars, shows in this case we have 8 cars going, and most of these are loaded merchandise cars, many of them going to the Acme Markets warehouse over in Kingston. The switch list for the O&W's BC3, which would be arriving in Coxton, shows that the cars are a combination of destinations both east and west on the Lehigh Valley, and some going terminating in Wilkes-Barre for connections with either the Lehigh Valley or the Pennsylvania Railroad. The Coxton engine crew picking up the loaded hopper cars for the Harry E would pick up their cars in the east storage yard. Here we find engine 183 picking up loads of run-of-mine coal destined for the Harry E. And the crew taking empties to the William A. Colliery would pick up their cars in the east storage yard also.